Hi, Carrie.
Hi, Carmen. Okay, so today I wanted to talk a little bit about balancing working from home and like being self-employed with all of life's other responsibilities. And you're also a mom, which I am forever in awe of. And I don't know how you do it. There's a bit of a time difference, so I'm an hour later. So Carmen gets up earlier than me, but I usually wake up and I get messages sent at 6 a.m. Pennsylvania time, and I'm like, holy cow, how are you so on the ball? I'd love to know how you start your day.
I start my day super early, as you just mentioned. I've just always been an early riser. I probably get up in the 5 o'clock hour because I know. I like that time because it's so quiet and I have my coffee. I am able to meditate. I do yoga in the morning. I just sit and sometimes I'll read. Sometimes I'll check my email. Sometimes I'm on Instagram. But it's just like my time to wake up slowly and really start my day when I'm really quiet and aligned.
Are you super strict about it, or is it kind of like whatever you kind of feel like that morning?
I am not super strict about the order of things, but I do find that having that morning ritual is really helpful for me to clear my mind. And I definitely see a difference between the days that I'm not able to have quiet reflection and the days that I am, because or if I go like too many days in a row without making that time or that space for myself, like clockwork, like you can tell, oh, it's been 3 days that I haven't done it, get back in the routine. And I mean, listen, life happens, so there are of course those days where you just want to sleep in, or my kiddo gets up early or whatever, and you're interrupted, but for the most part, I really do try to stick to that time.
That's definitely something I want to get into. Maybe I should take some notes from you. So since you have the freedom to make your own schedule, do you work like Monday to Friday? Like, are you pretty strict about it? Or do you work on weekends and it works with your schedule?
I am not always able to work Monday through Friday because I have a team, right? So while it would be super ideal to be able to say that I'm going to turn off at such and such a time, so while I don't necessarily say I'm stopping at 5, I look at it as more of hours. So how many hours have I put towards this particular project? And then I'm sort of able to balance it. Because there are some days where you are, and you know this because you're self-employed as well, so you're working all day. But then there are other days where you're able to go out and, go grocery shopping at noon. So it's just sort of figuring out for me, how many hours have I allocated to this and when do I need a rest? But I also don't love to work on the weekends, so I do try to make sure that I set that time aside, and I'm pretty good with those boundaries.
Because I obviously don't have a kid, and how does that play into it? Like, does that affect your schedule heavily?
It does. So I have one kiddo. She's awesome. And she's really, really independent, so I think that I'm pretty lucky there. But she's still a kid, and she's still a human who needs attention and affection. So, I mean, you know this. There have been times where I've literally been on a Zoom call, and she's like sitting right next to me, and I'm like, Carrie, this is just how it's gonna go today. She has her notebook, she's gonna pretend to take notes, and it's gonna be fine. And then there are other days where she just wants nothing to do with me, and that's cool too. So I have found for me that just leaning into that present moment and just, kind of going with it is effective. In fact, I talk about a recent client that we have. She wanted to have a call with me to talk about new business. And I literally had to say to her, that's fine, I can chat now, because she really wanted to talk immediately. I said, that's fine, I can talk now, but you just need to know that my kiddo is right here. And so if you hear her, you're going to hear her. And she was like, oh my gosh, no problem. And it was fine. I had a conversation with the client. We got all of the things that we needed to accomplish checked off. My daughter was fine. And it is what it is. So I find that being like super transparent about it is helpful, both to your team and also to your clients. And also to your family and your child who's right there, to say, because there will be times where she can't be on a call and she needs to like figure that out. But there's really no balance. It's just being transparent.
And as someone on the other end of it, I love it when Ren comes to say hi. It makes my day. She's so cute.
Thanks. Yeah, she's a part of my life, and I think that that's something that isn't always recognized, that as women, we're doing a million different things, and being a mother can just be another one of those layers. It doesn't have to be an either or. In my case, it is an and. So I try to lean into that and just include her, because as soon as I tell her or anyone that it has to be this way, that's when there's a rub, and it just doesn't really work quite as well.
Yeah, I really admire how go with the flow you are. I think that's a really great quality to have. So, do you have any tips for moms who are working from home now?
No, I have no tips.
No tips, just go with it.
I have no tips. So many moms I follow on Instagram, and just so many of my friends are doing it differently, and that works for them. I guess for having no tips, my tip would be to just figure out what works for you. There so often moms and women and society just like tells us how we're supposed to make it work, and give us all of these guides and these articles and these books to read on how to do it. But really, at the end of the day, you just have to figure out what your kid needs, or kids, and flow with that, because otherwise it's just gonna be a headache. And there are days where it's a headache. But allowing yourself grace to feel the headache, make a cocktail at the end of the day, or, do what you gotta do. Just give yourself grace.
So what's your go-to cocktail? I'm just curious.
Oh, Carrie, next time you are in the States. All right, so I learned this from Catherine Winch. She gave me this amazing drink, and now I make variations on it. So I like vodka. So I take the spirit of vodka and lots of ice, and then I add seltzer water to it, and then I add frozen fruit. It is so good because you don't taste the vodka. It feels refreshing, and then you have fruit in it. Sometimes I'll throw in jalapeno. Strawberry and jalapeno thrown in that drink is so good. I recommend it.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna come over for one. Just so you know, I'm inviting myself over. What do you do to unwind after a work day?
So how I unwind, if I'm having a day that feels if I have a client call, or a project isn't going the way I think it should, or I need to just get the fuzzies out. We live in the woods, and so I just will go outside and just go for a walk. Even if it's raining, I'll still go out and just get air, take a breath, and ground myself, and then come back in.
Yeah, that sounds so good.
What do you do to unwind?
This is your interview. I'll have my... No, I'm kidding. I either work out, which is not really unwinding, but I really de-stress through movement. But on the days when I'm too tired to work out, I will just watch YouTube for an hour or two and just turn off my brain, basically. Do you find it difficult to be present when there's work things in the back of your mind, or do you easily compartmentalize?
That is a big question, Carrie.
I know. You're welcome.
So in the beginning of my career, yes, it was very difficult, especially when I was dealing with clients. And as you know, what we do, we're dealing with clients, and their companies are their babies. They're so important to them. They want someone who understands that. And so in the beginning, I wasn't able to unhook from that energy. So if they would get riled up and send me an email at 7:30 on a Friday night, when I knew that the rest of the team wasn't able to respond, I would feel that anxiety until Monday, when I was able to talk to the team. And I would almost let it sort of fester, and like you said, it would be in the back of my mind all weekend. I've since learned that worry doesn't get me anywhere, and it doesn't fix whatever the solution or whatever the problem is. It's not a solution to it. So what I've come to understand is that in most cases, clients don't necessarily want to know how we're going to fix it. They just want to know that someone hears their problem, hears their fears. So I'm able to do that more, and in doing that, I'm able to sort of provide or create a space for them to feel heard, feel safe, and then to also be assured that there are people who will work on it when we're back in the office, when we have the whole team together to huddle. That has taken me a long time to sort of work through. And I think that there are still some times when I need to really practice that. But I think going back to, it's one of the reasons why I have the morning routine that I have, which is sort of clearing out the space so that when I do get those emails or a call, or I know that there's a looming deadline, then I'm able to like lean into it from a sense of this might be their fire drill, but it doesn't necessarily have to be mine. I can just treat them with love and safety as they work through it too. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been a long time to practice that, and I still have to, but it's so helpful. And once I figured that out, I was really able to move through life differently.
Did you also experience that when working at an agency?
100%. 100%, yeah. As you know, like agency life can be difficult. And if you don't go into it with a really clear energy and headspace, you can start taking on the energy of all of those other people, whether it be the people on your team or your clients. So I just think it's important to make sure that you're grounded in where you're coming from.
Totally. Absolutely.
You probably feel that way too.
Yeah, there's a big culture around the hustle, which
Yes.
is so cringy now.
It is.
And yeah, I think even with agencies, you still have to set boundaries of like, if your boss emails you at 11 p.m. on a Friday, you're not responding. Like, you kind of have to train people
Yeah.
of what you will promote or not.
Well, and I think too, I totally agree with you. You bring up such a great point, because not only do you have to train other people, but you have to train yourself. So I'm not going to check my email at such and such a time. And then there have been times where you have been so gracious to me to be like, they don't need to know that right now. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. Thank you. Like, thank you, Carrie.
I'm doing it. We're training each other.
No, but it's like, it's just such a great reminder, because I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Get back. Like, okay, whew, you're right. It's fine. It's great when we have a team, and I think that our team really cultivates that. We all respect each other so much. We respect the differences that we have. We respect the similarities, and we respect each other's time. I love that about this team.
Yeah, I found there's a really, like, work-life balance is a really important value, which I appreciate so much.
And I think companies are changing a lot now, that they recognize that they call it work-life balance, but really just figuring out the best way to work. We don't all work the same. We don't all learn the same. We don't all live the same. And so when you're able to look at the people on your team as people instead of just teammates and getting out a product, then I think everything shifts.
Yeah, definitely. Well, this was really fun. I really enjoyed this. Thanks for chatting with me.
I loved it. How fun, Carrie. Thank you.